So, hello everyone. Because you all seem to like my reading your story, figured why not do it again? And just wait for you guys to tell me to shut the hell up. So, I'm gonna read you the story, obviously. Folk Tales and Fable of the World. Good book. Look at that. Look at that spine. Alright. So, the story I shall be reading you today is called The Crow and the Daylight. It's a Inuit story from Northern Canada, in case you didn't know. In those far northern lands of ice and snow, for half of the year the sun does not rise above the horizon and the darkness covers the land. For the remaining months the sun does not sink and there is continuous daylight. So let's get started. Many, many years ago, when the world began, there was no daylight in the lands where the Inuit lived. Day and night did not exist. The people lived as best they could by the glimmers of light from their seal oil lamps. They did not know when they should get up, nor when they should go to bed. There was much trouble and quarrelling, as half the folk tried to sleep, while the other half were up and noisily going about their work. At that time, living in one of the villages was a very wise crow. He had learned to talk and was much respected by all the people. Sometimes, as the Inuit gathered together by the light of their tiny lamps, the crow would tell them stories of the wonders he had seen when he had flown on journeys to other lands. One evening he mentioned seeing a wonderful thing called daylight. "What is daylight?" asked the Inuit. "Where there is daylight," replied the crow, folk can see all around them. They can see the whole countryside and animals approaching from afar. The Inuit thought that daylight sounded a most desirable thing. How much easier hunting would be, they said. How much safer we could keep ourselves from the fearsome polar bears if only we had daylight here in our land. They gathered around the crow and begged him to fetch some daylight for them. At first the crow refused. "It is a long flight to the land of daylight," he objected, "and if I reached there safely, no one would give me any." The Inuit begged and beseeched, and at last the crow felt so sorry for them, living in darkness as they did, that he agreed to go. After a rest and a meal, he flew up into the black sky and turned towards the east, because daylight comes from the eastern lands. After travelling for many days, the crow saw a dim light above the horizon. He flew further until he could see the ground beneath him. He flew but a few more hours, and the sky was flooded with light. Thankfully, the exhausted crow settled on the branch of a tree to rest. Looking around him, he saw that he was near a village. In the centre of the village was a large snow house. This was the home of the village chief, and from his house shone the daylight. As the crow sat staring about him, he saw the beautiful daughter of the chief leave the large snow house and walk to the river to fetch water. The river was frozen over, but there was a hole in the ice through which the girl could haul water with a bucket made from sealskin. At once the crow slipped from the branch of the tree and crept to the doorway of the large snow house. He shook off his skin and turned himself into a tiny speck of dust, dancing in a beam of light. As the chief's daughter walked back with her burden of water, the speck of dust settled on her dress and went with her into the house which contained the daylight. Inside the house was bright and warm. The chief sat watching a pretty baby crawling and playing on a rug made from the skin of a polar bear. The baby had toy dogs and foxes and walrus and boats, called kayaks, all carved from walrus ivory. He amused himself by putting the toys into an ivory box and then tipping them out over the curly hair of the rug. When she had set down the water, the chief's daughter picked up the baby, and as she did so, the speck of dust, which was the crow, drifted from the girl's dress into the baby's ear. The baby began to cry, and the chief, who loved the child dearly, at once asked what was wrong. "Asked to be given some daylight to play with," whispered the speck of dust in the baby's ear. The baby asked for the daylight, and the smiling chief told his daughter to untie the rawhide string, which secured his leather hunting bag, and take out the carved box which she would find within. The girl did so, and for a few moments she and the baby were amused by looking at the pictures on the box, which told of all the brave things that the chief had done. Once again, the baby began to cry for some daylight. The baby was the favourite of the chief, and he could refuse it nothing. He told the girl to open the box and give the baby one of the shining balls that were kept within. The girl did so, and for a long time the baby played on the polar bear rug with the glittering, shining ball. Once more, the speck of dust whispered in the baby's ear. "Ask for some string to tie around the ball," it said. The baby did so, and the string was given to it at once. The baby played happily, dangling the bright ball with the string. Then the chief and his daughter stepped outside of their house, leaving the door open so that the baby daughter could call to them if it wished. This was the chance the crow had been seeking. "Play near the doorway," the crow whispered to the baby. The baby did so. "Creep out into the air," whispered the crow. "Take the daylight with you and swing it in the breeze." Again the baby did as it was told. As they passed the place where it had left its skin, the speck of dust, which was the crow, jumped from the baby's ear into the skin and was itself again. The crow snatched the string from the baby's hand and carried the string and the ball of daylight high into the sky and away to the west towards the land of the Inuit. The baby screamed and cried at the loss of its pretty toy. The chief and his daughter came running. The whole village turned out, and all the hunters tried to bring the crow down with their arrows, but they could not reach him. Westward and ever westward flew the crow. He left the great light behind them, but the daylight from the swinging ball lit the ground below him. As he came to the land of the Inuit, the crow broke off a tiny piece of daylight and left it behind in each village. When he came to the village of the people, who were his friends, he dropped the ball so that it shattered and sent light shining into every house. The people were delighted and crowded around the crow to thank him. If I had brought back the big daylight, there would never have been darkness here again, he explained. There would have been light day and night, winter and summer, but the big daylight was too heavy for me to carry. This small ball of light will give you daylight for half the year, and darkness will return for the other half. That is wonderful, smiled the Inuit. Since that day, the Inuit have been true friends to the crow and have never sought to kill him. Good night, guys.